Hello, viewers. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening all around the world. Dear viewers, my name is Mudassar Majeed. I am an ESL expert and media person in Pakistan. So I've been associated with media for last quite some time, for quite years, a few years. I've been associated with media. So I just want, first of all, I would like to welcome Madam Imane from Morocco. So, Madam, welcome to you in this small session. So today we have some certain question answer session. So before that, I'm going to tell you something about the topic. The today's topic is about what are the most effective ways students can develop fluency in spoken English. So, dear viewers, before going to talk about the session, I would like to tell you something about the session. This is a platform where we connect with our esteemed experts and visionaries from across the globe to explore thought-provoking topics that inspire growth, learning, and global understanding. Stay tuned as we dive into today's engaging discussion. So, first of all, Madam, please introduce yourself before our audience so that our audience may get to know about you. So, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you very much, Professor Mudassar. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much again for inviting me. I'm truly happy to be here with you today. My name is Imane Rhiady. I'm an ESL teacher from Morocco. I've been working in education for over 10 years now. I hold a CELTA certificate from Cambridge University, a bachelor's degree in English literature, and a master's in business. Um, I've had the chance to work with students of all ages and levels, both in Morocco and internationally. And one thing I've learned is that fluency isn't something we're born with. It's something we build little by little. So with the right habits, the right tools, and most importantly, the right mindset. So today I'm excited to share some practical and effective ways students can develop fluency in spoken English. And I hope you'll find some of these ideas helpful, whether you're a student yourself or an English teacher supporting others.
That's a great, really great, and definitely I really feel privileged and honored that you have given me time to talk about this certain topic. So, the dear viewers, as you know, that I have shared a topic that today we are going to talk about the most effective ways of to develop fluency in English spoken. So, in this regard, I would like to ask a very first question over here: that what daily practices would you recommend to improve spoken English fluently? What would you say about that?
A great question. I think the key isn't how long you practice, but how often. For example, just 15 to 30 minutes a day of focused speaking can help. Usually, I recommend recording yourself talking about talking about your day. It builds confidence and helps you notice patterns. I also would suggest mirror talk. So to speak to yourself in English while looking in the mirror, like a mini conversation. And another thing I would recommend is shadowing native speakers. Just one's in my favorite, especially with me personally learning different languages. So I would suggest watching videos or listening to podcasts and repeat what you say or what they say exactly, trying to copy the tone, rhythm, and pronunciation. So, in my opinion, these small habits help train your brain to think and respond faster in English. Over time, it becomes more natural and automatic.
Okay, that's great. That's great. But the thing is that most people probably, when the people used to listen podcast or some watching movies and something like that, so they are consistently watching all those things. But when they do not have some sort of environment in which they can communicate, in this context, how they can improve their English communication until or unless they are not attached with the people with whom they can share their ideas. So they can't speak. They can understand at least, but they cannot speak good English. What would you say about that?
I say conversational practice with peers or native speakers is very essential. Essential, absolutely. I think language is meant to be used, not just studied silently. So personally, I would just throw myself out there, force myself to speak the language. I would put myself in situations where I have no choice but to use the language. Even if I make mistakes or I might sound very wrong to the person I'm speaking with. To me, the more I make mistakes, the more I learn. So I think conversational practice helps students learn real life language and natural expressions, get feedback and adjust their speech. Feel the rhythm and flow of a real conversation. And by the way, it doesn't have to be with a native speaker. Practicing with peers, classmates, or even friends on WhatsApp can be just as helpful. So, in my opinion, so the goal is to make speaking a regular part of your day, not something you only do in the classroom.
Yes, definitely that it is. And I just want to talk about that when it comes to talk about to talk with the native speakers, as you give the example, and then our peer, our workplace people with whom we can communicate. Because
Right.
English, most probably in a lot of countries, English is not dealt as a first language. When it comes to second language, so it always face people always face difficulties in learning English, and especially in fostering or creating some sort of impact in English, they face difficulties. And my question is that how important is conversational practice with peers or native speaker when it comes to improve English fluency and accuracy?
Yeah, I think it's very important. Just mirroring what a native speaker would say. So mirroring the pattern of speak, the rhythm and flow is very important. Again, real life languages and natural expressions are important when they come from a native speaker. So repeating that, so your brain naturally absorbs everything you hear. It depends on the kind of learner you are, but I think it's very important to be exposed to the language as much as possible. When I say native speakers, so as I said, using anything that comes to your hand, whether a podcast or a TV show or music itself or traveling itself. So that is very important. And as I said, it doesn't have to be a native speaker if it's as long as you can actually use the language. Very essential and important in my opinion.
Yes, but the thing is that how can we find those native speakers? It's always very difficult when it comes to find out
Absolutely.
those native speakers. How can we find those ones?
So I think if you use apps, there are so now in this day and age, we have a lot of ways in which we can connect and talk to native speakers. So there are apps like, for example, Tandem, Hello Talk, Cambly, and many other apps that are available online. Sometimes even ChatGPT can talk to you. So you have a native speaker tailored to you, talking to you whenever you want. So I think that's a great way for connecting with speakers around the world, online speaking clubs or Zoom or Facebook. Um, those tools can give students safe, anxiety free, and supportive environments to practice. But the real value comes from actually speaking, not just reading or listening. So students should make it a goal to talk out loud, even if it's just one short conversation a day. That's where the fluency grows.
Yes, definitely that it is. But when it comes to talk with the native speakers, it's very always very difficult because there are some of the paid type of apps which are very difficult for them to find out that which are the non-paid application. But somehow when you can't learn your English speaking skill fluently with the applications. I guess that you have to be a mentor. So you must have some people with the native speakers who can speak fluent English and with whom you can share your ideas, emotions, feeling, and all everything with whom you can conversate on different topics. Then you can improve. But it's these days it's really very hard to find out the native speakers and to find, and in this
Absolutely.
way those people those the language learners who are trying to learn English as a second language, so it's always difficult for them. But the thing is that these days when you just get connected with those mentors, those education those instructors who are teaching IELTS and spoken English over there, so they can just provide you slight just insight idea insight insightful discussion, and definitely you will be able to understand. But that are somewhat like a slightly paid, but most very rarely you might have seen that almost free. Everyone is native speakers are free of cost. They are just trying to provide you a healthy environment. So it's very difficult to find out those people. But if you really want to learn, if you really want to to do practice with the native speakers, so you must have to go for that, to pay someone, and definitely they will be trying to get engaged with that, and definitely you will be able to understand and you can communicate with, because until or unless you not, do not communicate with any person, any native speaker, so you can't learn English language. So that is the thing that I guess that the people should do, and especially English as second language learners should try to provide a healthy environment when they are learning, when they are following the native speakers, when they are talking with them. So, Iman, I would like to ask the next question: can English language learner apps, as you have told earlier on, that can really, some of them are paid and some of them are non-paid. So, can those types of apps can enhance the credibility of a second language learner's ability?
I think to some extent they are able to help students. I think they are a stress-free space for learners. Um, but I think they are not as effective as being in real life scenario. So I like to contextualize lessons, for example. So learning through a context, real life context, is more important than being in a controlled environment. It depends on the students and how, because we're different people, we have different learning styles and different personalities and different way of looking at the learning process of a language. Um, so if you ask me, I would say traveling is more important, being in
Yes,
real life.
that is.
Absolutely. For example, I live in a touristic city, so it's very easy for me to communicate or find native speakers of any language I want. But when it comes, for example, if a person lives in a country or a city that is not as touristic, then using the apps or using the internet can come in handy. Traveling is very important, but that if that's not possible for a person, then the apps I think can work.
Yes, Iman, you were just earlier on, we were just talking about that. You have spent some time over there in Turkey and other countries. So, what exposure you got to talk with them, with the native speakers? And right now, when you go when you travel, when you talk with you have been teaching in other countries, so you got different exposures. How much important that exposure, international exposure, is when it comes to learning English as a language, as a second language, and being educated, how long it works, how much it works for for the teachers or for the students.
It is absolutely hard, especially, um, well, being a teacher, learning a new language can humble you, really humble you. So you put yourself in the shoes of your students, especially when it comes to the language structure, the grammar, the pronunciation. Sometimes I would say the wrong words or the wrong sounds. And the more, as I told you, the more mistakes I made, the more I have learned. And also being auditory, like, learning through listening is very important. So I would listen to people talk the language, and I would, for example, remember the words that are repeated constantly, and I would ask people what do they mean, and this is how I would remember the language structure. So I would ask a lot of questions. So asking questions, being humble, um, and just being teachable. Um, so you don't have to be perfect in a language. Till this day, I'm not perfect in the language I have learned, but the more I practice, I think practice is very, very important. It makes
Yes,
learning more natural.
yes, definitely, definitely. When you when you get more exposure, when you travel, and definitely when you talk with them, with other people, definitely you get connected, and you just try to get it exchanged, and definitely you learn a lot of things from that. But by living at one place, you can't. You just get connected only with the people of the specific area, and that you can't see the variation in it. And definitely that is, and especially I just want to tell you, because in Morocco, the English is dealt as not as a second language or third language, might be, because you just started telling me earlier on that in Marrakesh and Marrakesh, French and Arabic are most probably influenced languages over there as a primary language or our first languages.
Mhm.
When it comes to English as a second language or third language, that is most probably being dealt over there. So the
Right.
students, when the students are learning, so that time they teach English as a third language. They do what? They go for GTM method. GTM method is what? Grammar translation method. And
Mhm.
when they go for grammar translation, they think in first language. Then they try to translate those ideas into English, and then they share. it is always very difficult to express the inside the full discussion. So, what do you say about that? Whether to think in English and how they can think in English and how they can communicate directly in the first language, how they can create some sort of impact like that.
I'm very happy you asked that question. I think thinking in English is a total game changer. So when students constantly translate from their native language, it slows them down and causes hesitation. But when they start thinking directly in English, it becomes easier to speak more fluently and without pauses, choose more natural vocabulary, and build confidence during conversations. So you can start by naming things around you in English or talking to yourself in your head as your daily tasks. Even saying, for example, I'm brushing my teeth. It's sunny today. It helps train your mind to stay in English mode, if that's a way of putting it.
But I suppose when you are teaching at that time, so that time you suggest to your students that you have to think in English. So that time it's very difficult. It's very hard for the students, for the young learners to think in English. So that times when you start speaking in English, first language, try to create a develop a healthy environment of English speaking in the class. At that time, the students start staring each other or gazing toward the teacher. That's what does the teacher means that we are not supposed to learn English in that first language. So what should they do at that time when the students are not ready to learn in English in the targeted languages? So that, how they can how the teachers can teach them in a direct method, because when it comes to direct method, it's always difficult to teach. And what the strategies or techniques teachers should use to teach English as a second language? What do you say?
I think the first thing as teachers, so being a teacher means you're an enabler. You're a supporter, you're an enabler. So one of the most important things we do as teachers is encourage our students and help build their confidence. So I think students who develop real fluency are those who speak with confidence. So helping them build their confidence is very important. So what I would tell my students in the classroom, for example, just take sticky notes and just put them around. For example, if put a sticky note, put it on TV and write television. Uh, on a plant and write plant. So the more you expose yourself to the language and try to repeat every time you go around your house and you see a sticky note, try to repeat out loud. So the more you speak it, the more every day you would say the same sentence or the same words that would help your confidence. So I think I just encourage my students as much as possible, just to help them feel more confident in speaking.
Yes, definitely that also matters a lot. But the thing is that I guess that you should need to create some sort of a good environment. Just tell them that I'm here to provide you to make you a good speaker. I'm here to make you a good speaker. How? You
Yes.
just need to if here you need to follow me. Whatever I am speaking, you just need to follow me, and definitely you will become a good speaker. So first, try to make some of the small jokes, or try to make them laughter. That here we are doing this and that. Try to give some of the logical examples. Try to train them that here you can do this and that, and
Right.
definitely you can start following English. And try to tell them that here we have some of the comedy in English. Try to tell them here are some of the comedians who are sharing jokes in English. So try to tell them that here you just need to think, follow, and then definitely you start following. If and especially so there are some of the young learners who love listening the English songs. So tell them that here this is a very beautiful song. So you just need to write the the script of that, whatever the lyrics are over there. You just need to write, and definitely in this way the students start learning and students start following it, and ultimately and consequently they are ready to follow it, and ultimately they will be get attached with that, and later on they will be the part of that, and they will be responding you very positive way, and they will be learning English as a second language in more proper and appropriate way. So the next thing I would like to ask over here, that especially when we dealing English as a second language, so that time we have a less confidence. A lot of students have less confidence when they are learning English. So that time, how we can boost their confidence, because they are less confident, they are not ready to speak fluently. What should the mentors do to improve their confidence, and how they, and especially they are not ready mentally, they're not mentally ready to accept the things, that how the teachers can prepare them mentally prepared and get more confident in English speaking. What would you say about
So as I mentioned before, confidence is everything.
yes?
Many students already know the words, but they're afraid to speak because they don't want to make mistakes. I always remind them fluency does not mean perfection, it means flow. Mistakes are not the enemy, they're part of the journey. So, a strong, positive mindset helps students try without fear, stay motivated on slow days, celebrate their progress no matter how small. So, one powerful tool is positive self talk. Instead of saying, I can't speak English, say, I'm still learning and I'm getting better every day. So,
Yes,
as teachers or supporters, we need to
yes,
create
definitely.
space where learners feel safe, seen, and encouraged. Um, that's when where real growth happens, in my opinion. So,
Yes, definitely. If you try to boost up the confidence, and suppose there are the young learners, if you start discouraging, they can't speak good English. So definitely you have to encourage them that definitely today you have spoken well. That a few
absolutely.
sentences that today you have used are quite helpful, and definitely that shows your dedication and devotion in English learning English language. So that really you are on track, and definitely you can improve your English communication skill. When you give them confidence, definitely the students start learning in a good way, and they speak fluently. Fluency and accuracy both can be enhanced with the passage of time when you give some sort of confidence to your students. When you give confidence to your students, definitely they start learning English language. But when you start saying that here you have not used grammar properly or as it should be used, so that is not that is improper, that is not acceptable. So then definitely you are discouraging your students, and that definitely his confidence would be shattered, and ultimately he won't be able to speak good get good communicative way as it should be spoken. So that what is it, especially when it comes to English as English grammar, whether
Right.
English grammar matters in spoken or not. What do you say? Because in Morocco, whether when you are teaching to your students, do students also learn grammar deeply as in other countries, or just they go for slightly? What do you say about it?
Unfortunately, so we have learned the English or any language using grammar, which is something I definitely tell my students to leave to the last step. So, students who develop real fluency are those who learn naturally and leave grammar to later. So, I think to sound natural and stay calm in a conversation are very more important than memorizing grammar rules. So, there are often the ones who were exposed to the language in meaningful, engaging contexts. They watched shows, listened to music, picked up expressions through interaction, made mistakes, and gradually refined their understanding over time. So those are the students who learn the language better than those who uh, answer all the questions, do the exercise books, and learn grammar in the classroom. So I have worked with many learners who excelled in grammar exercises but struggle to hold a simple conversation, for example. And I'm sure you are familiar with this dilemma as well.
Yes,
So
definitely that it is. Yes, but I just want to ask over here that you have spent 5 years in Turkey. So because that time you don't know about Turkish language, so that time it was difficult for you to speak and to tell them that here you are just start instructing or giving instructions to the target language, that you were just speaking only English language. So that time, how difficult it was for you to communicate and to make them understand here that you are learning English language. What do you say about that?
It was frustrating at the beginning because naturally in Turkey, students they would they would feel comfortable using their L1, and for them L2 or in English, for example, was there was a artificial barrier between them and English. So there was that fear of speaking English to the point where they would tell you, I don't need to learn English. And so there was sort of resistance. So my job was to make it fun for them. For example, with my language learners, so I had to teach young learners and adults at the same time. So the technique was just teach through context, contextualize the lesson, and make them learn, make the lesson go through my students. Um,
Okay.
Yes, versus just writing the grammar rule on the board. So, for example, and so they would speak in Turkish in the classroom, and I would repeatedly say, "No English, no Turkish, just English. I don't speak
Okay, okay.
Turkish."
That's a great, and especially when you are teaching only English, so that time they have to understand, they have to follow you, whatever the directions that you are giving to them, so they have to follow. At that time, they just need to think about it that today we are going to learn this specific thing, and we are getting ready for that, and definitely we will be able to speak as he would be directed to us. So that is the thing, and that really matters. And especially, I guess that when you have some extra help in this regard of a first language, so that time it is always difficult. But I guess that there must be some of the first language or the natures that must be allotted to the people who are other countries who are learning English as a second language, so that they can only communicate in that first language. No other language, no other extra language should be used with them, and definitely and ultimately they will start speaking. But I just want to mention over here, and those students who are studying at different O levels and A level schools, so those young learners, they are directed to the only English language. They are supposed to speak only English language. So that's why their English communication is so good as compared to those students who are using English as a second, as a third language. So that time it's always difficult for them to speak good English. So that is the thing. But I guess that when you give the lectures in targeted language, so definitely they start learning. When you give them
Absolutely.
some of the tips that here you have a first language, you start using first language, you start using second language, and at the same time you are teaching in third language. So that time it varies, and definitely students can't get mastery in that first second language learner. So in this way, I guess that when it comes to English as a second language, at that time the students must follow the direction that the instructor is giving to them, and ultimately and consequently the students can learn English. But if they are as also using English, Urdu, and other as Arabic and Arabic or French, whatever the languages which are being followed over there. So that time the students also feel relaxed, and that time they can just tell the teachers that please tell me something about that. If you are teaching only that targeted language or direct first the second language, so definitely the students start following it. But that is the thing, when you start speaking with in English, Urdu or other languages or French, so that time it definitely lessen his capacity. And I guess that the teachers should teach only in that target language. Like English, you are teaching English, you have to teach only in English
Absolutely.
language, and definitely you will be able to teach them in an effective way. So that it is.
Absolutely. Because I think the moment you use their L1 in the classroom, sometimes if a teacher gets frustrated, they're not able to explain a word, I would say, visualize it, show a picture, um, realia, anything, but not use their L1 because they would feel comfortable asking you. Now it's like you open a door for students always asking you to use their L1 in the classroom instead of the target language. So it is absolutely a no-no to just use the target language only, and that will encourage students to speak it more instead of them feeling comfortable using their L1. So they would know you know the language. There's no way out of it. So yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
definitely.
Yes.
Yes, at the last, because there are a lot of countries in which English is being dealt as a second language, treated as a second language. So what the message that you would like to give to them? Because in Morocco, the students are also following English as a third language, most probably second or third language. In English in Pakistan is also being followed as a second or third language. What's the message that you would like to give to these types of culturally multi languages people have? So that time who have different type of culture and they have to follow different languages. What the message that you would like to give to them to follow it and so that they can improve their fluency and accuracy in English language?
I just want to say that learning languages is very enjoyable. It is not a chore. It is not a punishment. It is not something that you have to do to earn a certain grade or a certain mark. I think if you look at learning a language as something you enjoy, as a hobby, or as something that would help you develop your learning skills more, I think that would help you learn better. So it's all depends on your perspective and how you see learning the language. You have to love it. Actually, that's where it starts from, because it's easy for us as learners to create a barrier between us and a certain language. For example, for me and French, it is the one of the first languages in my country, but there is a barrier between me and French, and I'm trying to break that wall. It's just how you see it. So I think just try to see it from an enjoyable point of view. Enjoy learning. Um, Ditch the grammar. Take it from an expert. Leave grammar. Grammar comes naturally. So the more you speak it, the more you listen to the language, grammar comes naturally. Learning grammar at the beginning makes learning frustrating, in my opinion, because all the rules they make learning difficult, and it can make a learner feel frustrated. So listen to the music, watch the shows, meet people, write. Sometimes I would write poetry in a language that I would like to learn, and just I would make fun of myself later. But I can see how my writing is progressing actually. Also, something that my mother used to do, something I have learned from her, is that she would write her diary in three different languages so that she doesn't lose any of them. So when you are in a country where there are three languages being taught, it's very important to not make my mistakes and lose one of the one of the first languages. So just keep your mind sharp, just use it. My mom was, for example, would write her diary in three different languages so that she can keep her mind sharp and keep the languages alive in her head. That's a very practical advice, and that I've been using now, and it's been very helpful.
Yes, definitely, because when it comes to learn second language, it's always difficult. But the thing is that if you will try to develop a good environment, and definitely you will be able. And that one thing more, if you are committed enough to learn English, definitely you will be able to speak. If you are not committed enough to learn it, you can't. The thing is that your commitment
Absolutely.
matters a lot, and your attention, your focus. If you're just learning as a part time, that time you can't learn. When it becomes your need, definitely you get it mastery in it. You get proficiency in it. But when it comes to you're just learning as a part time, just learning as a fun, you can't. So you have to become very much devoted to it, and definitely you will, when you will be becoming too much devoted to learn it, and when you have once made up your mind that definitely I'm going to learn it, and definitely you will be able to learn. But when you are saying that English is not my first language or mother language, I'm dealing it just as to communicate with somehow, sometime with people, so then you can't do it. So you have to do it. You have to communicate it on daily basis. Definitely, and ultimately, and consequently, eventually, you will be able to speak English just like as a native speaker. So you just need to get interacted with them, and definitely you will be able. So message behind the thing is that you just need to get interacted with others, and when you will getting interacted with others, definitely you will be able to speak good English. So that today we have a specific session based on ESL, and especially Madam Iman. She is an English teacher. She has a vast experience, 10 years experience in teaching at Morocco as well as in Turkey. So that's why she has shared very insightful conversation, insightful messages based on ESL. And I hope so that a lot of audience who just got in attached with that session, definitely they might have learned a lot of things, that all the things that are going on, all the things based on English are evolving, and how the students are, try how they can learn English as a second language. So hope so you might have enjoyed the session, and definitely it would be. and we will be looking forward for the next session. And as you know, my name is Mudassar, and today we have a Madam Imane from Morocco, and I will try to keep exploring such knowledgeable people around the world, and definitely that can be very much fruitful for the audience, my students, and lots more other people who are attached with me. And definitely later on they can, and especially those young, learners, those people who are newly attached with that. So you can just you search me on Google by writing Mudassar Majeed, CH, Mudassar Mudassar, Majed Majeed, and CH. You will be find more about me, and definitely there are a lot more stuff based on me, and you will be able to understand me or comprehend me more effectively and more clearly. So thank you very much, Madam Iman, for your precious time that you have given, and for this wonderful discussion, and for your
Thank you. Thank
session.
you again, Mr. Mudassar, for this lovely opportunity. And thanks to everyone watching. I hope these tips have been useful. And I wish you all success and joy in your English journey. And remember, speak a little every day and don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's how fluency is born. Thank you.
Yes, a lot of people from Turkey, Azerbaijan, and lots more people who are also add with me. Definitely, they will be just making make it more happier and easier for the audience. And definitely, they might recognize you somewhere with you where you have worked, and especially those audience who are been associated with you. Definitely, they really enjoyed the discussion that today you have done today. And I'll see you in the next session. Till then,
Thank you
and
very much.
definitely just want to tell you something that I keep exploring these types of people. I've been conducting these sessions for last 2 years. I have conducted too many programs over there, and you can take a look not only about ESL but also on media literacy, as well as those specific and certain topics on which we can help to find out some of the easy access to the people, where people just trying to find out the basic insight idea about different topics which trying to find out for them. So we'll keep it doing for and trying to. I will keep exploring such types of knowledgeable people and mentors who have some knowledge, who have experience. I will try to show it their expertise before you, and definitely they will be showing their expertise before the audience, and definitely they will be learning. So thank you very much, and dear audience, we'll see you in the next session.
Thank you
Till
very
then,
much. Looking forward.
and and then next Sunday it will be off because next Sunday there will be Eid Day, Eid al-Adha in Pakistan.
Yes.
Definitely that time I will be off, and after that we will be meeting the next session. Goodbye. See you.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.